Hello, my creative friends. I'm Heather North from heatherscreativeblessings.com. This week, Stamp Nation is turning 4, and we are having a huge birthday bash. Today is the kickoff day, and we'll be having prizes and challenges, and we have different sponsors, and I'll be showcasing each of the sponsors this week with videos and pictures on my blog. I'm going to start with a stamp set from Verve. It's called Be Blessed, and I'm taking that sentiment, have a happy day. My goal here is to create a watercolor background. So I chose this stamp set from Verve because, number one, I just love Verve stamps fonts that they use. They have this beautiful script, and then they mix it up with a more traditional script, and it's just so pretty. Also because it had some great images that I could use. So I have this Tim Holtz Distress watercolor paper, and I'm going to use my deactivator tool to just put some powder down. This is a new tool for me, but it's very similar to the embossing buddy that Stampin' Up! Carries. I decided that I should actually use the deactivator tool all over my paper because I'm going to end up embossing all over. And what this does is it removes static from the paper, and hopefully I won't get embossing powder all over the place. I'm using some VersaFine Black Onyx ink. It's my favorite ink for fine lines and sentiments on clear stamps. However, it tends to smear on me because I never wait long enough for it to dry. So my solution is to stamp it down in that ink and then put some clear embossing powder over it and heat set it. And this way, not only does it keep me from smearing and messing up my project, but it also adds a nice little bit of a shine to the sentiment, and it makes it a little bit darker too. Don't you just love clear stamps? I can see right where it's going to be. What I did was I took 3 of the flower images, the ones with more lines than solid image, and I placed them around my sentiment. Then I used this clear block to pick them up. Now, one of them is hanging off the edge of the clear block, but that's okay because it's actually hanging off the page as well. And what I'm doing here, sorry it's off camera, is I'm just moving that so that all of the flower images are on my clear block. The flowers are arranged in a sort of triangle pattern. I just find this really pleasing to the eye, and it's also why I chose 3 images. And as you can see, I am going to purposefully stamp it off of the cardstock in a couple of different places. And then if I need to fill in any little ones, I can just take them off and do them separately. And that's what I'm doing here. Then I will add some white embossing powder and just emboss it. If you have trouble seeing where you are stamping or what you've already stamped with that clear ink, it's okay to just stamp some of your images, put on the embossing powder, heat set it, and then stamp some more. If you'd like to copy this card exactly, you can go ahead and skip this step. But I had planned on cutting this panel down. So what I did was I took some removable tape. I think this is like a surgical tape. I bought it in the Ellen Hudson store. I believe it's also sold in the Simon Says Stamp store or your local drugstore. But you could take a painter's tape, washi tape, post-it note tape, anything that's removable, and just tape it down to a clipboard or an old cutting board or anything that you can kind of move around and don't care if it gets ruined. And then I'm taking water, well, it's a spritzer bottle filled with water. And I'm also taking an aqua painter that has a water in it. It's a water brush, and as I squeeze it, water comes out. And then I have this little cup here filled with water. I got this at Sally Beauty Supply. A little shot glass or anything like that would work as well. Basically, you just want to choose a method to get your watercolor paper wet, and that will help these distress inks that I'm smushing onto my craft mat flow a little bit better. I like to start with my lightest color, so I've got some squeezed lemonade here, and I'm picking it up with that aqua painter, and then as I put it down on my paper, I'm squeezing because I really want that water to flow. And then I'll clean it off on a paper towel, and I'll pick up my next color. And again, you can see as I squeezed that barrel, the water really came out and started to make that ink flow. And here's where I decided, oh, I want it to go all the way to the top. So I just peeled off the top layer of that tape. And now I am picking up, that was picked raspberry. This is worn lipstick, a new color for me. It's almost a corally pink. It's really pretty. I had too much water in that squeezed lemonade. It's such a light color that I just added some more distress ink to my mat so I could pick up some more yellow. Here I'm going back to the picked raspberry over on the side. Here I've got peacock feathers, and I am sorry that it is almost all the way off camera. I didn't realize I was off camera when I was filming this. But same concept. And then at the very bottom, I've got some shaded lilac, a really pretty purple color. And I'll come in and add more colors in different areas if I think they need them. At this point, I thought, you know, I really want to do a whole entire panel. And so I peeled off that tape and I'm just bringing the colors all the way out to the edge. And then I'm also blending those colors a little bit more up into each other. You can set this piece aside to dry fully, or you can use your heat tool to dry it a little bit quicker. I have a piece that I did earlier. I'm just going to go ahead and use that. Let this dry, and I'll make some more cards with it later. I took this piece to my trimmer and trimmed off 3/4 of an inch from one side. So I'm left with a panel that's 3 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I also took some black cardstock and just cut a 1/4 inch strip. It's a little bit longer than my card base, but I'll be able to trim that out. I also had a little surprise in my package when I got my order in from Verve. They gave me these beautiful sequins, and you know I love sequins. I didn't even know Verve made sequins, so I'm going to have to go take a look in their shop and see if I can find some more. I'm adhering this to my standard card base. It's a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base. Again, with that Tombow Mono Multi Glue, so I can kind of move it around, but also so that when I stick it down, I can kind of flatten it out. Because watercolor paper, when it gets really wet, it has some warpage. So what I'm doing is I'm just pressing it down. I like to press it from the back side, and then I'm going to take that strip of black, put it on, and press it down, and then I'll trim it off. One of the best ways I've found to place sequins is to just kind of sprinkle them and see where they land and play around with them. I'm still not an expert at this, but I just keep going until I think, ooh, it might need one more, and then I stop, because when I add one more, it's always too many. And I'm just varying. This had a couple of different sizes, so I'm just varying the sizes and the position and going up the left side of my panel. I'm adhering it with the Tombow Mono Multi Glue. I also like the Ranger Matte Medium, but this is what I had out, so this is what I'm using. And then I use my paper piercer to kind of move it around and get them into position and push them down. And that concludes my card. Thank you, Verve Stamps. You were an amazing sponsor. It was wonderful to work with your products. And I hope that all of you will go check out Stamp Nation's Birthday Bash. There are exclusive challenges, videos, cards, prizes, and specials being offered over there. We have more sponsors, including Simon Says Stamp and Whimsy Stamps. It's going to be a really fun week. Be sure and come back and see what else I have in store for you also on my blog. If you like my card, be sure and like it. And if you want to see more from me, be sure and subscribe. I've taken the leftovers and made a couple more cards, and I'll have that video up today too. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you find some time today to get creative. Bye!